Hello everyone, this is Panic coming to the brand review. Today I'm playing the Cakecore SMP server, and look at that. Look at that view. Take a long gander at the different color leaves you see here. I've been planting a bunch of trees out here because, like I said earlier, I want some nice forestry when I look out my balcony here. Over here could use a little bit of work, but other than that, it seems pretty good. It seems pretty good. You got lots of different colors of trees around, and that's pretty cool, right? I was thinking maybe some jungle might look nice, but I haven't encountered any jungles yet, and I'm not sure how much effort I'm going to be putting into this place, especially since I'm moving. Speaking of moving, well, actually, I'll speak of moving in a little bit. First of all, I'd like to talk about shops. I made my first two payments, one from Alton and one from James Douglas. I don't think James was in the last episode, but that did happen. He made a payment, and he gave me 5 diamonds for it, so that's cool. I put them both in this chest, and what I plan on doing this season, until I can't anymore, is trying to only buy stuff at shops with diamonds I've earned from my own shops, right? So all of my diamonds over here and the ones in this chest, I'm keeping them separate so that I can use these diamonds that I'm mining for like gear, and then these diamonds for shops, right? So the idea is that I'm going to try to make a profit even though I'm spending money and earning money, right? And I'm not going to be using mining as a means of spending, unless I have to. If I run out and I need stuff, then I'll do that, and then maybe I'll give myself a coal in here also. Like, so I'll be in debt, almost, with myself, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's what I plan on doing, just so I can just try to make... Like I said, I want to make money this season, right? Right. Okay, what else? Okay, now I think would be a good time to talk about my future home, right? I scouted out a place last episode. Also, there's a drowned here. I don't know if that's been shown on camera or not, but there's a drowned with full iron armor here. He just hopped in the boat, so I was like, okay, sure, let's keep him. Now, what was I saying? Yeah, the glacier. I found the glacier last time, and what I've actually been doing is hollowing that sucker out. I've been taking out tons of ice blocks from it. That's actually why my pickaxe is so low. And speaking of my pickaxe, I should mention that both this pickaxe, and my axe all have mending on it now. After long hours of fishing, I finally got mending. I've adjusted my nether tunnels a bit. There's now blue ice here, because, as you guys know, I've acquired a lot of blue ice lately. This basically takes me to 0-0. While before, I would have to go through the top of the dangerous fortress to get to my portal. Now I made a passageway underneath the fortress, but people can still access the fortress without, lights and stuff if they want to farm wither skeletons and stuff like that. So this will be more convenient for everyone. And if they just want to get to my place, they can have a safe travels down this blue ice pathway underneath the fortress. Also, the blue ice pathway continues down this way. So this passageway leads eventually... Excuse me, I'll take this guy. It's not lit up yet. I should do that because that makes traveling on boats a little bit easier. Speaking of traveling on boats, let's give it a go. Let's go really fast. Way, way too fast. Like, possibly nerf-worthy fast, if you ask me. If you keep going down this... Excuse me, boat. If you keep going... Why are you going that way? If you keep going down this pathway, it splits. If you go this way, it actually leads to Caesar's portal, which he recently set up, and he set up a tunnel towards it, so that's pretty cool. And then the ice continues going, and this goes down for a long, long, long time, right? If I keep going down this way, I will eventually reach the glacier biome, and I can now get there really quickly with this feed. See, this is already the stairway up to it, but it's not safe yet, and I'm stuck in a boat. Stop. Stop. Don't. Alright. I've been having this problem, like, all week, because this place is not quite safe yet. I need to work on that. I've just been working on a lot of other stuff. Now, as I go up here, I actually have done a whole bunch of hollowing now of the glacier, and I'm going to show a time-lapse of that and have a discussion over that, alright? So you guys are going to see that right now. Okay, so I'm going to be doing some commentary over this time-lapse. What I'd like to talk about is my trip to Missouri. It's actually not exactly what I'm talking about, but it's relevant. I recently took a trip to Missouri. I am from California, for those who don't know. And Missouri is the farthest away from California I've been. So I'm not really a huge traveler, obviously. But yeah, I flew out to Missouri. It's my first time flying in over 11 years. So that was kind of crazy. It ended up being, flying, right? One thing I didn't like is the change in altitude when you like go up and go down. I get headaches very easily, and just feeling the pressure change and stuff like that on your head. That stuff I don't really care for. Also, airports are just stressful. Like, wow, if something goes wrong and you're not on time, that plane ain't waiting for you, right? It's just gonna go, and then what do you do then? So I don't really, I can't say I enjoy flying very much, but it wasn't like horrible once you're actually in the plane and flying. It's just like, okay, I'm not like I don't know. I don't have fears about plane crashing or anything like that. But there's some inconveniences. But this particular plane had some in-flight movies, and that's what I mainly want to talk about. I should talk a little bit about Missouri, though, just since I brought it up. It's a very beautiful state. I enjoyed my stay quite a bit. I stayed for about 5 days or something, maybe 6. I'm not quite sure. There's just trees everywhere and grass everywhere. You don't realize how little grass there is in California until you go somewhere where there is grass, and you're just like, oh my gosh, California is a desert. Like the greenest places in California would just be like everywhere in Missouri, and they'd be considered national parks in California. But yeah, it's a very pretty place. There's a family reunion. I met like 50 people that I've never met before, or at the very least met when I was too young to remember. So that was kind of cool. And there's like several different last names there and stuff. It was all crazy. It's so surreal. Especially because I don't go on trips that often, right? This is the first time on a plane in 11 years, and it's pretty far out. And it was a lot of fun, though. I definitely enjoyed it. But anyway, there's in-flight movies on the way there and on the way back. One of the in-flight movies was Avengers Infinity War. And I thought maybe this is finally an excuse / opportunity to watch the movie. But then at the corner of my eye, I saw Isle of Dogs. It's a Wes Anderson film. It's by the same people who made Fantastic Mr. Fox and a couple others. It does they're known for doing the stop motion comedy stuff. Really, really funny movie. That's not really what I want to talk about, though. On my way back, I was about to watch Avengers Infinity War, and then I saw that they had Solo. Whoa. So I was like, I haven't seen Solo yet, but I'm a Star Wars nut. I didn't want to see it in theaters. It just especially with all the bad reviews coming out and stuff like that, it didn't feel like something I want to pay $10 for to watch in a movie theater and stuff like that. So I was like, I'll wait till it goes on Netflix, because I bet it will go on Netflix. That's usually where they put all the poor performing Star Wars movies. Of course, poor performing in Star Wars is a bit of an oxymoron, but you know what I mean. The most poor performing, I should say, like The Last Jedi and Rogue One. So anyway, I watched it. I have to say, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but going in, it was very decisive. Like a lot of these reviews were saying it wasn't really that good. I also didn't see that many saying it was outstanding. Funny enough, I believe spotters vouched for it for pretty hard. But other than that, I hadn't seen a lot of people saying it was spectacular. I believe also Talon said something about it. I'm struggling to remember. I wish I could bring up specific examples of what people said. I try to go in with an open mind. Honestly, though, every time I try to go in an open mind of the movie, I can't quite get rid of all my preconceptions. And that definitely happened in this movie, too. I was kind of thinking it was going to be bad, even though I tried to do open-minded. But after I started watching, it surprised me about halfway through. I will say, the beginning felt rather rocky to me. It seemed really messy all over the place and almost directionless. There's a bunch of different scenes. They're kind of going with a montage thing, which is all right, but then it was also kind of not montage. It was also kind of long, dragged out scenes, like constantly jumping forward years and stuff like that. It's like, I don't know. I don't think it was the best way to explain the situation that Han was in. I think there could have been better ways to do that. After the beginning, though, things started to pick up a little bit more. It's tough to talk about without spoiling. I'd like to talk about Han, though. I think a big problem a lot of people had with this movie was not being able to see the main character as Han Solo. And I can confirm that I could never do that. My mind never made that bridge that this is Han Solo. I just couldn't see it. A lot of that, I think a lot of that is because I'm so used to seeing a certain person of Han Solo. But I can't help but feel also a big part of it is just that it wasn't portrayed like the character we know. It wasn't portrayed like Han Solo very, very well. I refuse to believe it's all me. Just the way he acted and stuff, he's a little bit more goofy and upbeat. And I understand that, characters are, when they're younger, they're usually a little bit more energetic and stuff like that. It's just trying to picture Han Solo, or Harrison Ford rather, saying or doing a lot of the stuff that this guy did. There was no connection. Now, I'm not saying that characters have to be the same between two movies, especially when you're dealing with prequels. And I can also understand if they wanted to start really goofy, but then kind of show later in the movie why Han Solo is the way Han Solo is now. There's a big change in character that makes Han Solo who he is. kind of similar to what the prequels did with Anakin. Even whether or not they did that well is, to the viewer's discretion, but there was never really any indications that Han Solo was becoming who Han Solo was. At least it wasn't obvious to me. There were certain like things in like maybe lines, like you could maybe say his language was forming, but like, that's just a minimal thing. His vocabulary. He said at one point in the film, like, I've got a really good feeling about this or something like that. And then that obviously later plays into why he always says, I got a bad feeling or something like that. Or it's just a nostalgic cash grab. Who knows? But it was just weird, right? Because I never saw him as Han Solo. But when I started seeing him as his own character, the movie was a lot better. I'm not gonna lie. I think too many people have pre-existing expectations of Star Wars films, and they put Star Wars on a pedestal, and Star Wars has to hit that pedestal every time. And I think that's being the demise for a lot of movies for those individual people. I've heard going around, not specifically for this movie, one or two for this movie, but I've mainly heard this for some of the other movies going on, like Last Jedi, saying it's a good movie, but it's not a good Star Wars movie. And I really don't understand that comment, because it's almost admitting that your expectations is what's ruining the film for you, not the film itself. And I guess I just like to look at movies as they are of themselves and not pay attention to stuff that happened before or after it, right? Not really paying attention to how characters have, I don't know. It's tough to talk. It would something I need a scripted video for to fully articulate. But yeah, it's just I feel like I recommend for watching Star Wars movies, just seeing them as movies. Compare them to regular movies. Don't think of them as being outstanding before you even see it, right? Because like there really aren't that many outstanding Star Wars films, if you ask me, and I think most people would agree. Obviously, there are the prequels that most people don't like, and even the people who do like them, I think, would agree aren't outstanding, right? There's just maybe one or two Star Wars movie really that are like really good, So I just recommend watching Star Wars movies as a movie viewer, not as a Star Wars movie viewer, if that makes sense. Anyway, that went on a little bit long. To talk about some other aspects, like some of the other characters, Chewbacca was pretty much fine. His introduction was a little weird, I thought. It's just a nitpicky thing, though. I don't mind it too much. I'm glad that he wasn't given like a bunch of characteristics in general, because that's not really what Chewbacca had in the other one. He was just kind of like, the sidekick guy. And they didn't force him on you, If they added some like big overarching story just for Chewbacca, I would have been like, I really don't need this. But they did, it was fine with him. And there was this I can't remember her name, but this female who was in it a lot, and I thought she was pretty cool. She wasn't like extremely unique, there wasn't anything very special about her, but her relationships with other characters certainly was at the very least interesting, and she kind of appears at a certain part of the movie and then leaves and then comes back, and you have to try to fill in the pieces of what happens in between and stuff like that, and the movie doesn't shove it to you, right? You really gotta think about it, and that's one thing that I think this movie did a lot better than The Force Awakens and Rogue One, is it felt like they weren't shoving a bunch of action scenes in your face. There was more time for thinking, more time that lets you think about things, and more time of the characters thinking about stuff. There's a lot more plotting going on, or talking about like kind of figuring out each other's characters. It wasn't that way for everyone. There's a couple characters that really bothered me because there was no interaction with them. There's no interaction between them and someone else or the world around them. A couple characters you have the hardest time figuring out the significance of when there's potential of them to be very significant, even if they're only in for a short period of time. And that's just kind of a trope a lot of modern movies fall in that right now anyway. But there were some cool characters. Overall, I thought Han was a cool character, just not Han, right? But he was interesting enough. When I saw him as a regular character, the movie got a lot better for me. So if you haven't seen the movie, I recommend doing that as well. And let me think, who else? There's also this captain guy, who his purpose was to be kind of a mentor or teacher of some sorts, whether teaching Han what to do or teaching Han what not to do by doing it himself, right? That kind of teacher, right? He didn't have a lot of arcs himself, though. His character didn't really go very many places, especially because it's sad because there were opportunities for it to go places, and then they didn't take it. It's tough to talk about without spoiling, because I'm an example guy. I like to bring up examples, but I can't bring up any non-spoiler examples. There's some cool intense scenes. One of my favorite things in movies is intense scenes that are intense without that much actually happening. Some of the stuff that comes to mind is in the original Iron Man movie, right? In the original Iron Man movie, this is gonna be spoiled. If you haven't seen the original Iron Man movie, then go away, I guess. There's there's this one part where Tony's just sitting down and he's chill, and then he starts hearing this really high pitched noise, and it turns out that the main antagonist is paralyzing him with like this paralyzing mechanism thing, and he just sits down, he can't move. And the bad guy continues to unscrew his heart, take it out, put it in a bag or box or something like that, and then walks away with it. And he's monologuing to him while he's doing it, explaining why bad stuff's happening to Tony. And it's just the most intense thing, even though nothing's really happening. I mean, he's taking out his heart, but there's no gunshots being fired. There's no sun about to fall on the earth or something like that. There's no giant portal creeping from the sky and leaking out enemies or anything. It's just as simple as him lying on the couch, motionless. He can't do anything about it. He sees the enemy taking something from him, and there's nothing he can do. And he has to crawl his way down an elevator to find a backup heart, and he just barely manages to get it in time thanks to a robot. I love stuff like that. I love really intense scenes without very much actually going on. And there was some of that, not to that extent, the example I used, but there was a little bit of that in Solo, which I liked. When, The Force Awakens, there was absolutely none of that. I can't think of a single scene that had even a smidgen of what I just explained. Which might be partially why I like Solo better than both The Force Awakens and Rogue One. But in Solo, there's a couple moments, there's this gambling scene, without spoiling too much. There's this gambling scene, and it's not exactly intense, but it's entertaining and it's calm, and you learn about the characters who are there, and that I really appreciate. And there's also some other a lot of other scenes where you're learning about the characters and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. I didn't like all the characters. I liked some of them. There's this robot that was a little meta for me. I mean, if anyone who knows my taste in movies knows that I'm not a fan of the meta stuff. I don't want to be thinking outside the movie too much. It's just a little too distracting for me. And there's this one robot who is either being completely comedic or trying to reference stuff in the real world, both of which I don't really need in that movie, because I guess I just never really liked viewing Star Wars as a comedy. I like seeing it for the other stuff. I think that's about all I have time to say for, though. I think I passed the time I was supposed to go over, but yeah, overall, pretty good movie, and I liked it. Also, I Love Dogs. Great movie. Check it out if you get the opportunity. It's really funny. Okay, so that was me cutting down a lot of the inside of that place. I didn't record the whole thing because my pickaxe ended up getting close to broken, so I went back and mended it in the fish farm for a while, and I have since cleared out the whole thing. But before we check that out, I also want to show this. I have finished... not finished, but I have started a bridge, an ice bridge, that leads over to this big plane right here that I was looking forward to building with. I don't know if you guys remember last episode. Excuse me, Chunks. Thank you. Last episode, I was talking about how I would like to turn this into a village, right? Make houses on the sides of these glaciers and whatnot. I think that's a great idea. I can't wait to do that. But this wasn't fully connected, and I have since made an ice bridge over to it. And boy, does it look epic, right? If you're just over here and you imagine all these houses over here, and then you look down this long line. Boom, castle right there, right? It's not going to be a full castle, but castle elements like towers peeking out of the sides and stuff like that. It's going to look rather awesome, if I say so myself. So that's finished, and that looks pretty cool. I might tweak it, the sides of it, make it look a little bit more organic, but already I think it's looking pretty good. And if we head over here, down to the inside, this is the big reveal. Whoa, look at that. Look at all that missing, huh? I cleared out the floors because I did it floor by floor, as you saw. Right up here, this is where the main floor is going to be, right? Lined up right here. I just want to first take out all the floors so I can have an empty area to work with. That way I know I know what my limits are, right? Then I got to figure out where the towers are going to go and where the other castle structures are. and then I can shape it as we go and then add floors later, right? So right now there's not going to be any floors, it's just going to be empty. I just wanted to see what I'm working with and then fill the stuff on the inside. It's going to be a tricky build, right? Because we're dealing with such a meticulous shape, and I'm going to have to figure out exactly how much I want to go outside the berg and how much I want to stay inside the berg and make it look like a castle and whatnot. It's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting, but it's also going to be really cool. I'm very excited. So yeah, the main floor was right here. I started digging downwards because it does have like a big chunk. Most of the glacier is underwater, even in real life, right? So I have a huge chunk down here that I can use for different stuff, including AFK farms. That's what I plan. On all the fancy looking stuff on the upstairs. Then the downstairs is going to be a lot of farms. I'm going to try to make it look nice either way. But that's what my plans are. I started digging it down, and I realized there are just so many, if I dig through here, there are so many pockets like this, little holes, that make it very difficult for digging, because it lets the rest of the ocean in, and that can create source blocks, and it becomes very difficult to work with. It's already difficult just digging, let alone because of the, oh, I didn't break that with the Silk Touch pickaxe. So, yeah, that's a shame, too, because I have such a shortage of ice. Yeah, so I decided I want to like narrow it in as I get lower. I'm not exactly sure how much, but we'll see. So yeah, I'm still working on that. Again, my pickaxe broke, so this is as far as I got. Yeah, this place is shaping up, right? Also, holy crap, do I have a lot of ice. I've gotten just tons and tons of ice from this place, right? All these chests are full of different types of ice. I think this is the only blue ice I've gotten from this particular berg, from this particular glacier, and I've used practically all my blue ice on those nether tunnels, so I need to get some more of that. But the thing is, I can craft blue ice with all this packed ice anyway. I'm pretty sure that, you know, not a lot of people want packed ice, because blue ice just seems to be infinitely better, unless you're building with that kind of block palette like I am, but I don't think anyone else really is, at least not to the scale that I am. But what I do want to do, because I have all this, I want to start up a second shop. Now, I know you might be thinking, wow, Pat, you're already working, you just made your first shop. People haven't even gotten a chance to make other shops yet, right? I'm aware, and I'm not trying to be the ultimate business person where I monopolize on everything or anything like that. I'm not trying to rush to do this before other people do it. But I will say that, you know, the shopping district has been available for shops for a couple of weeks now, and I think a couple people have expressed interest in building some stuff. I doubt anyone is working on selling ice, right? I'm not trying to be the first one. It just seems natural, right? Because what the heck am I going to do with all this ice anyway, right? Except sell it. So it just makes sense. I'm going to sell it cheap. You know, I'm not going to try to be stingy. I'm not entirely sure yet. What I want to do, though, is first find the price for regular ice, which could be the cheapest, because you can use that to craft other stuff. And then find out, you know, calculate how much that would cost if you crafted all of them. But still try to sell it at a bargain for packed ice and do the same thing for blue ice, right? I think that's a good business to go in. I don't exactly know what the shop's going to look like or where the shop's going to be in the place or anything like that. All I know is that I need to get rid of these. I need to get rid of this ice, right? There's too much. I'm not going to need all this for the build. I'll use some of it for sure, but I'm not going to need all of it. So yeah, that's the progress on that. I'm going to head over to 00 and show some progress over there, and then we'll wrap up the video. Okay, so I'm back at the shopping wharf, and the shopping wharf, if you will. And look at this. Whoa, a ring appeared out of nowhere. Yeah, so, as I said in the last episode, I didn't want it to all be just grid-based, so I decided to add a curvature to the left of this, this middle line right here. Just to break it up a bit, and to encourage people that, you know, to try different stuff, right? That's the thing. I don't have to be the only one working on this wharf. If people want to take this bridge and, like, shape it up over here, you know, do some different designs, make it go different directions, hey, it's free game, right? This was just kind of to at least get some leg room down, right? So that we can start building shops around here. Like I said, we're probably not going to fill all the space with shops because there's not very many of us here. We might get more people down the line, who knows? But still, it's mainly for looks and to try to look busy and stuff like that. And I do encourage people to make multiple shops. At the end of the day, you know, even if no one buys from the shops, it's still an extra building that looks cool, right? So that's what I do encourage people to do. And I do plan on building a nice shop around here. By the way, this curve, the design is not completely final, right? I think it looks decent, but I'm having some trouble with the railings mainly. As you can see, I just have logs like all the way down right here for the parts where it gets a more steep curve. And when you look at underneath, I'm not putting logs down all of those. I just did every other, and that leaves some like logs down here empty. Because if you have logs right here, right? Then it doesn't even look like logs, it looks like a wall because they're all touching each other. So I think this works out pretty well from below. This is a lot more logs, though, than, like, any of the other stuff. But that's just kind of the way the curve is working out. I don't know. I might adjust it a little bit. I don't care too much about the resources. I mainly just don't want it to look too crowded, right? I think it looks kind of cool as standalone. It's just when you compare it to the others, no, then it might look a little funky. I don't know. If you guys have any suggestions, definitely let me know about what to do with this. But yeah, I do like the way the curve is looking out. I do like having a little spot of water right here that's not the same shape as the other spots. And I'm thinking maybe I could put my ice shop here. But at the same time, I don't know. This might be prime real estate, and because I already have a shop out, you know, I don't want to like take up all the good spots and stuff like that. Not that this is a tremendous spot either. I just want to make sure all the other players got leg room, right? I'm not trying to like steamroll anything with getting shops, and I hope people know that. You know, I'm not trying to be the big shop guy. You know, and if you have shops, by the way, to the other people on the server, if you have shops, go ahead, build it like anywhere you want, right? I have suggestion plots. You don't have to follow those though if you don't want to. Just essentially, you know, bridge down to the water anywhere you go, and yeah, let's get some shops in here, right? Right, that way I don't look like the oldie guy at shops. Yeah, but I think an ice shop might help people. Ice is very useful for like nether tunnels and stuff like that. So that should be pretty cool. I don't know when we'll get started on that. Probably soon here, but I also want to work a lot more on my glacier castle. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do actually want to quickly say that I haven't gotten any more sales in the shop, and it's past the 15th, so that means that this month's shipments are over, but you can pay as early as you want for the next month, right? Right. Okay. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and so long.